Let's talk about your journey here at Versa. I talk about it all the time because it's one of my favorite stories, and forgive me if I tear up, but it's like I can remember when I literally lived in a house right on the other side of the water, and I remember that first day that you walked into the house, the office, and I felt like I already knew you, right? When we first spoke on the phone, I'm like, I knew I needed you on the team because you were just so positive and you had shit going on in your life, but you were like, and I didn't know that at the time. Honestly, I was just like, man, this girl is so bubbly and positive and like, just feel good talking to you. But I know how it all went down for me over the last, was it 5 years, right?
Yeah, it's over 6 now.
So I wanted to just get your take on your journey from when you started here at Versa to where you're at now that you've moved on to amazing things.
It's really unbelievable. Sometimes I sit here and I feel like I'm in a dream almost. I pinch myself, but I know it's not because I know I put the work in for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
100%.
when I first started working for you, I was like rebuilding my life. I had just gotten sober. I literally didn't know what I was going to do. I had burnt my whole life to the ground, and I feel like the universe placed you in my life. And we met through another job I was working. And I remember when I called you up and I was like, hey, I'm going to leave working for Alan. I'm going to go work for a construction company. You're like, come work for me. And I remember feeling like I have to do this. I remember also feeling like so scared because it was all
Yeah,
commission. I had never worked commission before and I didn't know if I could do it, but I was really at that place where it was like, I might as well give it a shot. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So I went for it, man. And I remember, so when I was flying out to you, I remember I got stuck in Vegas because
yes.
there was some type of problem with the plane and I literally had no money. Nothing, you know what I mean? And I'm at this hotel feeling like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? And
What have I done?
I just kept doing it, you know what I mean? And then I finally got out to your house. I didn't take off in Vegas, which was a plus. And I get to your house and I was just so scared. I was super scared, but you were there. Ryan was there at that time. And it felt like family right away. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You guys were so supportive. You had a process, so it was easy to follow.
Right.
You had that pitch book, you had a training course, and I went through it, man. And it was uncomfortable. It was scary. And I was really uncomfortable on the phones at first. I'd never done
Yeah,
sales before. I had
yeah.
never worked commission, so it was all super new to me.
And it's funny you say that because on the phone, even from day one, you always, I would have never known that you were nervous on the phone.
It is about attitude, and we talk about it a lot. We've talked about it a
Yeah,
lot over the years. It's about an attitude on the phone. You know what I
yeah.
mean? And I think that's the one thing I had because I didn't have any experience. I didn't have any knowledge about any of it. But you provided it. I remember jumping right into the sales training with Grant Cardone and hopping on team meetings when I went back after training. I remember you gave me at the end of training, you gave me like $500 and for the training, and I was like so grateful, and I felt so like it's going to be all right. And I went home and I'm going to be honest, I didn't follow the process at first. I didn't follow the process and I hit my head a bunch of times. But when I finally pushed past the fear of just calling people and just doing it, phone sales is hard, man, because it can feel really uncomfortable. But once you push past that and just realize, like, hey, it was crazy. I remember the first time somebody thanked me for calling so much, I was blown away. You know, I was blown away. I couldn't believe it because I really
How
legitimately
often were you calling them?
when I finally got to the time when I was doing it 3 times a day. You
Right.
know
So
what
you're
I
calling them
mean?
3 times a day and they think,
When I was actually doing it, when I actually started following the process, because I wasn't doing it at first and I wasn't as
right.
successful.
And
Not
that's
to
because
say
we
myself.
think of it like as a consumer, right? So you remember when we were kids and had a house phone, right? If somebody called that house phone 3 times, your mom was screaming at them and that was the only time you heard them scream. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah.
I think that's where that fear comes from.
Yes, but we're calling business owners for something that they want, right? So it's a different
Yep.
mindset. I started doing the training. I started following the process. I started memorizing the pitch book. And man, it just started to take off for me. Not to
Yeah.
say it started right away. I think the biggest thing about a commission job and a sales job like this is building a pipeline. So you have to be ready for that. But as long as you can, if you can just grind it out, man, I'm so grateful that I jumped in. I'm so grateful I took that chance because a commission job has allowed me to rebuild my life very quickly.
Right.
$500 now. I remember at the end, I almost got to a place where I had to remind myself to be more grateful, right? Because I'd close a deal for $500 and be like, oh, my attitude towards money has changed. I have to always ground myself in where I came from. It's been such a blessing being able to learn the skill of sales, right? To incorporate that into my life in so many other ways, right? On my journey in sobriety and my journey rebuilding my life, Versa's played such an integral part. We always talk about it's not just work, right? We've built family. You're one of my best friends, man. You're my brother. Honestly, I would do anything for you. I'll start crying too. We've been there through day one and you've supported me with no judgment. You know what I mean? I've been through some crazy things and you've allowed me to be open and honest about my journey in sobriety, right?
Yeah, it's helped me a lot too. Before we met, I did have judgment towards sobriety and I didn't really understand it. I guess I just never really took the time to talk to someone that had been through that. And you really opened my eyes up to a lot of that. The thing is, what blows my mind is, so I didn't know, maybe I really don't think I knew that you were going through rebuilding your life at first. And ever since I made that decision, because hiring you was the best decision I've ever made since I started this company, for sure. And it's since that decision, it's always made me remember to never judge, never always take a chance. People deserve, you know what I mean? Because if I had known that beforehand, I don't know. I don't know if I would have hired you. I don't know if I would have brought you out. And that always bothers me. Like that I could have missed out on something so great by just
we grow from decisions and we grow from learning and I've experienced that here. It's just been such a cool journey, man. I've learned so much. I still I learned how to really take action with this job, you know what I mean, and put it into work, and it's helped me in every area of my life. I still in the morning, I do my training in the morning. We learned and we implemented here. I'm listening to audiobooks in the morning now on my commute to work. It's changed for me. The core stuff is there, right?
100%.
Making a gratitude list, right? Doing my training, right? Whatever that looks like, and then implementing it. And
exactly. Do you remember when I first had you guys start doing Cardone University? I told you it's not about just what you're doing in this job, but it's going to help you in every area of your life.
Yes.
And it obviously has. Look where you're at.
I feel like having a commission job, I wouldn't have the business I have today without that job.
Oh, for sure.
It taught me how to take risks. It showed me that I don't need to work for somebody else. I can work for myself. You know what I mean?
You don't need someone to tell you how much you're worth.
Exactly. And it's like, I get what I put into it. And that job taught me that otherwise. Because prior to working for you, I worked and I was living in New York working for an investment bank on Wall Street for years before my life down. But I never had the sense of freedom and happiness. And, when you do it for yourself,
pride.
It's pride. It makes you feel really good about yourself, if I don't get anything out of it, it's because I didn't put the work in. It's all on me. It's my fault, there's all the tools in the world and you provided them, you provided all the tools that I needed for success. I was really able to build just a beautiful book of business. We were just talking about it this morning about a client that just, until we talked to him, built trust over the years with clients. And, I still get credit card residuals, it's still a future,
100%. Love it. And 6 years later, now multimillionaire now, whether you realize that or not. I don't know if you realize that, but you are. And it's wild. And doing the one thing that, have you all, I mean, I may be just assuming this, but have you always wanted to, since you got sober, have you always wanted to, do something in the sobriety industry?
Honestly, no. I'm going to be honest. I was totally content and planned on just working with you. You know what I mean? The freedom I was getting, I was consistently making more money every year, right? I had a lot of freedom to travel, right? Like the last 2 years, I was gone every month, I could work from wherever. So honestly, it was a big thing for me to be like, oh, I met Danny, right, a couple of
Yep.
years ago. And even when knew we were opening this, I didn't know if I was going to fully work. I was still doing half and half when I first
Right.
started because I wasn't sure what it would be like to work with my husband,
Yeah.
I would enjoy it,
Right.
really enjoy, like, I love business lending. I'll always do
Right.
it. Right.
Yeah.
Haven't had as much time lately. I'm hoping eventually one day that will even out, but I love it. I love the
Yeah.
industry. I love Versa. So I never want to give that up.
Yeah.
And it's been a big thing for me to transition into this, but the payoff has been cool. So opened a treatment center and in January of this year, and we are consistently opening new houses, starting more groups, just been a beautiful journey, man, to be able
Amazing.
to give back and help people in recovery. Yeah, I got it, and it's really been beautiful,
Right. And
so I
you've done it yourself, like you've through
I've
that
gone through the
journey
journey.
yourself.
Yeah.
And so, what it's like, what they're going through, you can relate to them. I mean, it's an absolute no-brainer
I
that
love it
that's
as
the
much, for
business that you
sure. You know
have.
what I mean? So at that point, it's like, I'm doing this, but the cool thing, like, I think about it, didn't even feel like a job with you. It wasn't. It was a way of life. I was able to build a business and we built family, like, imagine like being able to transition into another company, but we still have this beautiful relationship where we talk all the time and we
Yeah.
help each other in business,
Yeah.
and I wish everybody could do that.
All right.
People just don't even realize you take that one risk, and the payoff can be so huge.
Oh yeah. 100%. It's something that'll reward us the rest of our lives.
Absolutely, whatever that looks like.
Absolutely.